Hello, welcome to Crochet Cray. I'm Sonia. If you'd like to learn how to make one of these bags with a 22 needle knitting machine and a 48 or comparable knitting machine, hit the subscribe button and sit down and get ready to design with me. Okay, so to start this pattern, you begin with the flesh color. You're going to cast on your knitting machine, so find your black needle. You're not opening the yarn feeder or putting the yarn in the yarn feeder yet. You're casting on. So you wrap the first needle and you are going to knit every other needle. You're going to wrap every other needle, alternate. So one, back and forth. Okay, when you get to the first needle, open your yarn feeder, load your yarn, and you are going to knit. You're going to knit 20 rows, so we're going to set the counter so that it's ready, and you're going to crank 20 rows. So when you change colors, after you cut your yarn at the last needle that you're finishing your color on, just the white one, the black needle is where you change your color. You take the yarn, you drop it into the center of the machine. You make sure that it is picked up on this needle, so the needle has grabbed it. You take your color change yarn, you put it beside the bump next to the needle. So put it beside there. See, it's beside there. And I like to make mine the same length as the fresh cut yarn. Okay. Now I like to turn. You put the yarn up underneath that needle so that it make sure that it grabs the needle, grabs the thread. Sorry. I put it into my yarn feeder, and I slowly turn, because I want to make sure that this needle picks up the new yarn. Okay, so it does, and the next needle does too, so you're safe to crank pretty quickly now. So now we're going to make 10 rows. I'll meet you back at the beginning. We are at row 30 because we made another 10 rows. We made 10 rows of black. So you're at row 30. It's time to add the waste yarn. It's time to add the waste yarn. So grab your waste yarn and add it the same way. Open the yarn feeder, drop that working yarn into the middle, or not working, sorry, and change colors the same way I showed you before, where you put it beside the bump, put it into the yarn feeder. You make sure that the black needle picks up that yarn, and it does. And we're going to just crank a few rows of waste yarn so that we can seal the tube shut easily. So I hope you're finding my pattern easy to follow so far. Please leave comments about what I could improve, and I will take that criticism and I will apply it to my videos so we can have great videos. So you're going to crank the machine so that it drops all your stitches, because it's okay. We're going to close this tube up. This is the first piece. You need to make 2 just like this. So 10 rows of the flesh, 20 rows of the flesh color without a finished edge here with waste yarn, okay? And then 10 rows of black. And we are going to, you might as well just do this now, just draw this shut, because this is the bottom part of the face. Let me show you what part it is. Right, you can see, and this is where we're going to stitch the face on. So make another one of these with 20 rows of flesh color and 10 rows of hair. And then we will meet back here and I will show you how to close the tube. So I'm going to thread my needle and I am going to close the bottom hole I'm going to put my needle through the bottom here, and it's very easy. You're just making a knot. I'm going to do that again, sorry. And you make a knot one time, and then I like to do it again just to be secure. And it's very easy. You've closed the bottom of the tube now. Now we are going to work on closing the top. We're going to crochet those shut. So you take your crochet hook, okay, and you find the side of the tube. So smush your work and stretch it a little bit. I like to bring it to the side, and then once I've determined where that is, I like to turn it to the other side and then crochet slip stitch along to the end, and then when I get to the end I can just pick up this yarn and knot it shut. So what you're doing is all of the stitches that you see here, you're going to alternate and pick up each stitch and slip stitch it to the next one. So to do that, take your time because you don't want to drop stitches, but if you do, you can sew it. Check your work after you slip stitch it and make sure you didn't drop any stitches. But to do that, you pick up the first loop, find the next neighboring loop on the other side, slip stitch that together. Stay on that side and slip stitch that stitch together. Like that. Go to the other side, and there are lots of videos that you can find. I need to make some too, that will show you how to close a tube, a knitting machine tube. There are many ways to do it. You could crochet this shut, but I like this way for this look because it makes it a nice little tidy package. It's nice and flat, and we like it to be because we're going to mattress stitch these two pieces together. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Like I said before, please leave comments about anything that you'd like. If you'd like me to try a different pattern or a different design, or you would like me to change something about the quality of my videos, please let me know. I will work on it. This is my first video. Well, not really my first, but my first tutorial. All right, so we're at the end, as you can see, and I'm going to grab the last stitch, make sure I got all of them. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to, like I said, use this tail and I'm going to knot it shut. And now you get to unravel the waste yarn. And your work, it should be, sorry, I'm just going to unravel all the waste yarn. It should be sealed and shut, a perfect little package. You can take your waste yarn and reuse it, like I do, and it is sealed shut. Now we're going to do the same with this one, but I'm going to speed up the video, okay? Okay, so you're all finished the both sides mattress stitched together. And you can see it's like practically invisible. Right? And we duplicate stitched the face on. So now we're going to make the two Afro puffs, and you're going to use your 22 needle for that. So you're going to cast on to your 22 needle machine, and you're going to knit 20 rows. So I'm going to speed up the video and we'll come back when I'm at 20 rows. So you're going to cast on to your 22 needle machine, and you're going to knit 20 rows. So I'm going to speed up the video and we'll come back when I'm at 20 rows. Okay, I've stopped my machine at row 10. The counter's just at 10. I'm at my white needle, and I'm going to cut the yarn because I'm going to create the space for the pouch, like the opening for the pouch. And the way that I'm going to do this is by casting off 4 stitches and picking them up with my needles, my thread. So you're going to thread your yarn needle with a little bit of yarn. I should do this with a different color so you can see. Okay, look, I've got a different color. So you're going to thread your needle, and you're at the black needle. So you're going to turn, because you've taken it off of the thread off. We cut this yarn. You're going to turn your crank for 3 spaces, 3 needles. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to pick these up. You need to pick up those stitches that you dropped. So this stitch, 2, and 3. Now, for the rest of the row, you need to cast for the rest of the row. You add your yarn again, like you're adding another color. Make sure that the white needle grabs that yarn. Okay, I'm a few stitches ahead, so it might look a little funny, but so when you make sure that the 4th stitch is caught, then you can continue to turn your work, turn your crank, and when you get to the black needle again, open your feeder and cast these stitches back on. So go in front of and behind every other stitch. So I'm going to go in front and behind and front, and this is going to be behind, and I'm going to add that back on, and we're going to turn the handle and keep going. And now those stitches are knit again, but we're going to continue now to row 20, just cranking. And you see how there's that opening there? From the stitches that we dropped to make the hole or the space. 19, and we're coming up on 20. When you get to 20, I like to cut my yarn long enough to use the yarn needle to pick up the stitches. So I'm gonna drop the stitches. almost all the way around. So I'm going to pick up all of these stitches and I'll meet you at the end when I've taken this off of my machine. So this is what you should have after you've made 20 rows of knitting and you picked up 3 stitches, dropped 3 stitches, pick them up with your waist, your line here. So you picked up these stitches and we recast on this side and finished off the row. So you have this shape, which we're going to turn into a puff. So you need to make one more like this, and I'm going to show you again how I did this. So if you can see, there are 3 stitches here that we dropped, and then we cast back on that side. So I'm going to start from this side, and I'm working from, like, it's already been turned to the right side. I'm going to work from, let's see, the back of the work. I'm going to start with the first dropped stitch here, and I'm going to slip stitch along all the way around the edge loosely so that it doesn't tighten up. So here's the first. I just pulled it through with my crochet hook, slip stitch. Okay, so I can take the yarn out, and I'm going to continue to do that all the way around the work. So anywhere there's like a little hole, I'm going to, or a little space, I'm going to slip stitch through it. So I'm going to add the 5 rows of waste yarn. My machine is set to circular knitting. I'm going to crank until I get to the black needle. I'm going to, my waste yarn is red. I'm going to wrap every other needle all the way around. And row count doesn't matter right now because this is just the waste yarn, so we can seal the tube shut cleanly and neatly. And yeah, I'm so sorry about the coughing in the background. I've got my children with me. So I'm going to knit 5 rows. Alright, so this is about 5 rows. I'm going to cut the yarn and I'm going to add my project yarn. Where are my scissors? There they are. Cut the yarn, open the yarn feeder, drop the yarn in the middle. And I know I said I wasn't pulling from the center, but Red Heart makes it so easy to pull from the center, so I shall. Okay? Yeah, this is a good idea for all the yarn companies. See how easy this is? Oh, my sarcasm is going to get me in trouble one day. Anyways, so this is the working yarn. Yeah, this is going to turn out a really bright and twisty color. I'm thinking about breaking up the colors. Maybe for another pattern. But for now, I'm going to add it to the yarn feeder. And mine's starting on blue. No. Okay, so I'm going to add my working yarn color. So the body of the bag. I've decided I'm going to go with a neutral color for the body of the bag. And then we can use the bright red heart stripes for the handle of the bag, for the strap. So I'm thinking about center pulling right now. Let's see how well that goes. No, see? Nope, I'm just going to pull from the outside because it's too frustrating for me. So I'm going to add the yarn. And we are going to work. Set your row counter for 0 because we are going to work 80 rows of the gray. Please meet me back when you have completed 80 rows. I'm going to speed up the video. Okay, so we have the face and we have the puffs. 1 puff and 2 puffs. We need to make the bow tie, not the bow tie, the bow, the hair bow, and the body. So I'm going to make the hair bow and then we'll make the bag. So cast on with some waste yarn to start, and then you are going to add your working color. I'm going to cast on and work 3 or 4 rows of waste yarn. And then I will meet you back after I knit 5 rows of waste yarn. So now we are at the 20th row. I'm going to cut my yarn. We're going to add the waste yarn for another 5 rows. So you can meet me back when we are at another 5 rows of waste yarn. Adding my waste yarn so we can close the bow up neatly. I'll meet you back when I'm all done with my extra 5 rows of waste yarn. I knit another 5 rows of waste yarn. Not another. I knit 5 rows of waste yarn. I'm going to cut the waste yarn. I'm going to just turn the machine and let the needles drop the project. Sometimes there's a few that like to stay on. Okay, so I take the work off the machine. Okay, and this is what we have left for the bow. Okay, so you have to stretch the work. All right. And if you've watched my videos on closing tubes before on Instagram, I like to find the beginning of. So I'm going to slip stitch both ends of the tube shut and then remove the waste yarn. So you should have a rectangle when we're done. And when I'm done that, I will get back with you. Okay, so I'm going to add my working yarn color. So the body of the bag. I've decided I'm going to go with a neutral color for the body of the bag. And then we can use the bright red heart stripes for the handle of the bag, for the strap. So I'm thinking about center pulling right now. Let's see how well that goes. No, see? Nope, I'm just going to pull from the outside because it's too frustrating for me. So I'm going to add the yarn. And we are going to work. Set your row counter for 0 because we are going to work 80 rows of the gray. Please meet me back when you have completed 80 rows. So I'm going to speed up the video. Okay, so we're going to close the tube. I've got the working yarn, or not the working yarn, the project yarn tail, and the waste yarn tail. And I keep them to the left because I'm going to slip stitch the tube shut from this end to this end. So how I do that is I start by picking up stitches from here. With my crochet hook, I recommend like a 4 to 5 millimeter crochet hook. So I've got this one stitch here. I'm going to move to the next stitch, and you just slip stitch that together. You go to this side next, pick up the stitch, slip stitch that in, go to this side, pick up that loop, slip stitch that in, and you just proceed down the row of your tube until you get to the end, making sure to pick up every stitch as you go along so you don't drop any stitches in your project. So I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you at the end and I'll show you how I remove the waste yarn. All right, so I have my working yarn color here.
Yes.
I'm going to, cut a length that's reasonable, not too long. Sorry about the coughing. My children have, they go to school, so they're going to come into contact with germs. Germs. Germs.
Who even is germs?
Germs are what you have from going to school. So I'm going to grab a stitch marker. And I'm going to, because you want your seam to stay flat and not twist. So I like to grab it first from this corner, and I clip these two edges together so they remain flat. That's one end, and then I sandwich it neatly together, and then I clip this end together with my other stitch marker, which is really just an earring. So I'm going to clip those little pieces together there. It is about 10 a.m. in the morning here, and I feel like I'm accomplishing so much. So we're going to, if you want, you can skip back to the video. I'm going to start the mattress stitch, but I'm going to finish it off camera because there's a lot going on here this morning. I can hear my mom coming in to talk. All right, so I'm going to start the mattress stitch here, and then I'm going to finish off camera, and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so I'm about to attach the bow. I took the pin out because it was just easier for me. I threaded my needle with the red yarn, and I am attaching it to the back of the bow. Like so, I've folded it over like this, and I'm going to just do a couple of quick stitches. One, and I'm going to knot it the same way that I do when I close the bottom of the chin. So that's one knot. I'm going to make another knot, and then I'm done. I'm just going to go through it once more. Sorry, it's so awkward right now, knitting or crochet, working on camera. I'm getting used to it. So there's another knot, and I'm going to cut the yarn and then bury the yarn in the work after. So let's bury these pieces into the red bow. So let's take it through here. This is why I love working with tubes, because you can hide your waste, your finished work easy. Hide the threads in the tube. I need another cup of coffee. There we go. So I'm going to cut the yarn. It's all hidden now. And the purse is almost complete. Let me zoom out. Right, so we're going to knit 80 rows and see how that goes. Of flat panels for the strap. Oh, I love it already. It's going to be so nice and stripy. Because this panel, it's going to curl and it's going to fit neatly over the sides here. And then it'll support the bag and the weight in the bag. I'm going to keep knitting, and then I'm going to meet you back when I'm at 80 rows because it's noisy in here. Thank you.
Hypnogriff.
Okay, so we are all finished this bag. I added the clasp on the inside, and I'm sorry, the sewing is not the greatest because I had to go through the work. So sew through both sides so that when you click it together, the bag does not pull apart. But I used white thread. I would use invisible thread next time. I'm giving this away as a gift, so I'm not too fussy about it. But this is the finished mini me bag. And we have a shoulder strap and this cute little decorative bow and these 2 pockets and the face pocket. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave comments. If there's anything that I can improve, I will improve it. Sorry about all of the coughing and boy sounds in the video. I'm a mom and yeah, it just comes with the territory. But I hope if you like this pattern, please follow and subscribe. Leave some comments, hit like. I'll be making more patterns just like this. And really not just like this, a variety of patterns. Yeah, so thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the future with more patterns.